I sort of do, but it depends on categories, and I don't follow this. I think it's over 100. And also it depends on whether you're talking about, I had this brief career in the 70s as a lyricist for The Selling of the President, our only bomb that we ever did. It lasted 5 days. It was traumatic beyond belief. I got this copy through the mail. Actually, Chris Harper, who's the titular producer, was a friend. He's a friend for a long time. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, he did publicity for Hairspray in London when we did Hairspray in London. He was working on it. That's how we met. Yeah. And so he had this script, and he sent it to me. And I thought to myself, first of all, it's a writer we don't know. And I thought, this is a brand new voice that I'd never heard. Equally important, who's writing parts for middle-aged women in America? There's a ton of wonderful actors and actresses unemployed because we have this thing about, do I dare say this, youth. So I read this play. Here are these unbelievably funny and touching parts for 2 mature women. And I thought, I'd like to be helpful. First of all, I love the play. And I thought, I can do this. And now I'm doing this. That play's going to get done a lot. Everywhere. And there's 2 more really good parts for middle-aged women who you haven't seen for a while. Oh, God. On the first day of rehearsal, I said to Patti, does it occur to you that the last time you and I shared a rehearsal hall was 50 years ago? I did the first thing she did. I was with the acting company when she and Kevin Kline and all of those kids went on the road. And I did a production of Soroyan's The Time of Your Life, which, by the way, was taped for great performances. NEWNET, you can see it. And she played Kitty Duval, the leading part. We've remained really good friends over all these years. And in this case, we're even neighbors. We live only 20 minutes from each other. So we see each other often, but we've never been in the same state, as it were, at the same time. Exactly what you'd think. She's Sicilian. She's magnificent. She's energetic. She's insightful. She's hilarious. She has a standard that she insists upon. And she lets you know she does not suffer fools lightly. I respect that. I think it's great. Mia also is a neighbor, and we've known each other for a very long time. Mia Farrow is a singular talent. When I read this part, I thought, one of these parts, she'd be so funny in this, and so touching, and so real. And I asked her, and that's the nice thing about being this age and this career. I know everybody, and everybody knows me, and we're all good friends. So it's not like I want something devious. I want to hang out. I want to make something good. So I felt that this was an opportunity, not only for me to be helpful, but for certain talents to be seen as valid, remarkable, individual people. And that's why we're doing it. Here's another thing about having a long career. In 1999, my friendship, he's produced this huge hit called The Full Monty. And he calls me up in San Diego, where I'm at the Globe, at the old Globe Theater that time. And he's in Los Angeles. And he calls and he said, we're getting all these phone calls about the rights to The Full Monty. People want to make it into a musical. And I thought to myself, why don't we make it into a musical? And I said, well, my folks have a barn down here. We can put it up at the Globe. So we got together with Terrence McNally, God rest his soul, and we started thinking about doing a reading. I wanted it done fast. These days, sometimes it takes 12 years to do a show, 20. But in the old days, just before I was born, they would say, wait a minute, Ethel doesn't have anything to do next season. Let's write a show for Ethel. And Ethel Merman would be on show with Call Me Madam or some damn thing the next year. So I said, let's see if we can't do this in a year. Who should be the composer? I just thought, this doesn't seem like Cy Coleman. It doesn't seem like Jerry Herman. It didn't seem to me that any of the people currently writing for the stage, for the Broadway stage, were linked with something called the Full Monty. At my theater, at the Globe Theater, at that time, we were doing Floyd Collins. And Adam Gettle, who wrote that, is working every day on this very production. And I thought, there's Adam Gettle. He's new. I went to him and I said, I've got the rights to do this musical. Would you read it? And he said he did. He would read it. The next morning he called me up and he said, I think it's one of the best books for a musical I've ever heard in my life. But at the moment I'm doing something called A Light in the Piazza. And I can't do anything but that. Oh, I said, do you know anybody? And he said, yeah, I have a friend named David Yazbek, who is a composer. And would like to do a show. And he's never really had an opportunity. And then he said the two things that really galvanized me. He said, his work has edge, and he knows the hook of a song. And I thought, okay, give me the phone number. Called him up, introduced myself. He was very excited. He said, I'll send you some material. He sent me a cassette with wonderful stuff on it. And he did some work on spec. And I think 3 pieces, and 2 of them made it into the show. I felt in a new millennium, on the year 2000, when we were going into rehearsal, we should put somebody new into the stream. And so David did the Full Monty with me. And then we did Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. And we became very good friends. So I like to hang out with the people I love. And I asked David if he'd do the score, and he said he'd love to. I've got one of the best musicians in America doing my background music for me. How about that? Yes, I'm a Robyn and I'm a Sharon. Bob Crowley and I, my designer, the great Irish designer Bob Crowley, and I read the play to each other. We very often do that. So I was Sharon and he was Robyn. We did it twice. Because sometimes you have to put the clothes on to know how they fit. And that's what we did. We also read together years ago The Invention of Love by Tom Stoppard because we couldn't figure it out. And we spent an entire day in my apartment reading and taking notes and just reading the play out loud. It's very different to hear a play read and read a play in silence. Very different. I think The Roommate is a much better play than anybody might assume it to be. It seems to be a boulevard comedy, and that's its jam. Because it isn't. It's profoundly interesting about women, friendships, loneliness, styles of life that we no longer necessarily explore. There's nothing like it. And one of the things I prided myself on in the, as I'm saying, terrifyingly long career I've enjoyed, is access to things you don't ordinarily get. This is one of them.